one may as well just capture any content we have because we'll be able to reuse it.
Right.
So I don't have the soundtrack to this one. So if you have it, if you have that, you could provide that here. That'd be excellent, and then I could do the other one.
Let's see. I didn't change anything. I just added the slides to my presentation.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't change
So,
anything. I thought everything was pretty good, to be honest.
okay, well, excellent. So then this is the next evolution. If you go to the For Andrew,
All right.
or that wiki page, there you go, third tab in,
There we go.
and click PanSurvival Solution.
Okay.
And then if you want for best visual, you can click the Present button. That'll fill up the screen.
Yeah. Let's see.
The right side, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
So this begins with saying thank you for taking the time for allowing us to present to you the PanSurvival solution. Used for that we envision being used in search and rescue for sense making, limited time, and people in distress. So, moving on to the next slide, if we could, just to jump right to the chase. What does this do, and who's it for? PanSurvival does three important things for three important people, three important types of people. It prepares information, it maintains information, and it facilitates information exchange. And it does this for people who are in distress, people reporting distress, and the person responding to distress. So if we can move into this next slide, we can talk a little bit about the person in distress. Now, a person in distress is someone who has limited ability to engage in their own rescue or perhaps come to the assistance of others. And what do they need? They need two things. They need prepared, shareable trip logistics and an informed rescue network. If we go to the next slide, we can see how PanSurvival does this. So PanSurvival takes computable data from the user, takes computable data from the user, and then evaluates that data. Let me back up. PanSurvival takes computable data from the user doing tapping or typing on the application, and from that data, it evaluates it with this PanSurvival sense-making logic that turns these taps and touches into plain language, meaningful sentences and images. So in short, PanSurvival takes user data entry, combines that with logic, and then generates this accessible rescue information. And if we move to the next slide, who's that for? It's for this person who's the critical linchpin for a rescue, this person reporting distress. And this person could either be a designated contact, like your emergency contact that maybe received a call from you saying there's distress or a late check-in, or a good Samaritan. And so this person in distress has an urgent need to relay information to search and rescue resources. So that's the problem that they have, and what they need for that is just real simple instructions for reporting distress. And if you go to this next slide, that simple information that that was prepared for in PanSurvival, well, this is how it's used. The person reporting distress, so the person observes a problem symbolized by the fire on the left-hand side. When they observe this distress signal, they then go access PanSurvival for emergency guidance, in which PanSurvival then provides this person just plain information on who to contact, how to contact them, and what to say to them. So if it's a traditional first responder that has a telephone or a radio or anything like that, it provides you meaningful sentences to concisely let them know what's going on and to give them the complete picture. And or if they happen to have any type of device that's connected to the internet, it also allows you to provide the same information by sending them a link that not only gives them the information right up, the most up-to-date information, but obviously the benefits would be, as PanSurvival collects more information, the first responder could always be, could retrieve that on demand.
Right.
So That's that part, which leads us to the last but not least person in the rescue, the first responder. And so they have limited resources, still playing with these words, but they have three obstacles. So, they're the last in the chain, they're the last to know, so they have limited time, limited information, and they have some communication obstacles. The first responders are not necessarily engaged in a room, and there's several barriers that make communication challenging. So what they need is they need complete and sensible emergency rescue information, voice, which is their verbally received, which is their normal way of receiving this, or perhaps digital, which is a new, kind of an emerging way, an emerging capability that they have. And if they are going to have this digital access, they need it to be open access. They need, no password needed. They do not need to buy an app. They just need this link to give them the complete picture of information they can use to plan their rescue. So that's still kind of working on that one, but that's kind of approximately the lay of the land with the first responders. And then if we go to the next slide, we can show how PanSurvival does this. And so on the left-hand side, it allows us for emergency first responders phone, which could be, that can take voice or digital. It allows PanSurvival formats or organizes the information so that the person that's reading the information to them over the phone has, well-organized, simple few sentences to give, the emergency response precisely what they need, organized with this sense-making logic that we've been going through, using plain language best practices, organizing it based on how public safety, some of the public safety forms that we've seen, not only just getting them the information, but organizing it kind of in the order that they would ask those questions and in meaningful sentences. And then, of course, provided that they have the ability to electronically have this, send them the link, which is potentially a neat feature if the first responders want to scale their resources. They could distribute this rescue information rapidly with the web link. So that's the solution for, those are the three important things. Preparing information, maintaining information, and facilitating the exchange of information that's used for the rescue network. But if you go to the next slide, the question is, does something like this already exist? And it does. We can show you what does exist in this next slide. For people going on an expedition that wish to plan ahead, there can occasionally be a mailbox at the beginning of a trailhead, and they can fill that information out and they can put it in the mailbox. For first responders, using State of Alaska Department of Public Safety as an example, they have a questionnaire form that they can fill out that guides them useful questions to ask over the phone for the first responder to kind of put that information in there. And then lastly, there's a mobile application that was that's been put together by a subject matter expert on lost person behavior, available for purchase, and it provides good decision logic to help inform rescuers on how they might be able to best organize their search. But what there is not is there's not really an easy way for the State of Alaska Department of Public Safety to electronically receive the paper that was put into the trailhead mailbox. And there's not necessarily an intuitive way to take the information that's captured on either of those forms and then apply that to the logic of how they should be distributing, allocating their resources.
Right.
Which just brings us to our vision, which is the next slide, the PanSurvival vision for public safety, which brings those three parties really onto the same platform. It allows expedition teams to be able to plan ahead, put their information into the system, and provide possibly good rescue information if needed. It enables interested parties to pass along or facilitate that information either by reading these emergency instructions if need, should should that be required over the phone in real plain language to first responders, as well as even being able to electronically send it to first responders so that they can access this information directly from the source online, which again is possibly useful if you have many interested parties that are contributing useful rescue information. It allows the first responders to kind of see that nicely, sensibly aggregated into one place without having to play telephone.
Right.
So that's the vision, and then what we have on the links is, we have we've made a prototype of how we think this solution should work, and are currently seeking development to developers to see, or I guess we're seeking development to begin and to make this an application that's accessible via web browsers, as well as downloadable from the App Store and the Play Store for Android and iOS devices.
Right.
So that's what I had for
awesome
this deck. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
Cool. Well, so then what I would go into next, we're kind of teasing this prototype. We're now the next part. We're kind of teasing this next part of the business plan. Well, all right. So how do you get this in the hands of people? What are we going to do different with this one? So if you click that, the iRise for Life prototype, maybe that link will take you right there. Excellent. So at this high level, this is the solution, as well as we can use this to talk to kind of what the business plan is. So first of all, PanSurvival is it's an app. It needs information. That's its main purpose is it's able to connect these three parties and help them collaborate on a rescue. And so would not want to have would be important not to have any barriers, because after speaking with the public safety folks, they do not have interest in creating a user account or purchasing an app in order to begin a rescue. So kind of in the beginning, this needs to probably be an initial solution that's just freely available, and it allows any person going on the expedition to be able to provide information. If you click the Provide Information link, this would just be freely available. Anyone on an expedition is able to update the network with their logistics and freely share that with anyone. Perhaps as they go on, though, this is for the monitoring the trip, they might be interested in purchasing some enhanced parts, in-app purchases, so to speak, that makes it easier for contacts or Good Samaritans to observe them. What do we mean? Well, it might, depending on the size, this might seem a little small to you, but you see that there's four things that you can observe in a trip's progress. Obviously, the individual, the vehicle that they use to get them there, or that they might be actually using on the trip, and the resources they had. One possible use case would be in the paid app that PanSurvival would have special cards that could print up with QR codes that you could put in on the dashboard of your car, so that if anyone were to notice that your car was at the trailhead too long or was about to move it, it would have a way of checking your car in to the PanSurvival network, thereby notifying your emergency contacts. At least they're aware that your car is improperly parked or about to be towed, so they would be able to assist. And then many other things along this line is kind of where would envision the paid app going in there, which is just making it easier for contacts or Good Samaritans to observe, the trip progress without necessarily having good internet connectivity with that. This next part with the emergency access. Right now, PanSurvival stops with being easy to find information. Where I see it likely continuing, and this is where it'd be neat to partner up with Robert Koshner or the Lost Person app, it would be nice if not only would this easy to find information be able to get to the first responder, it would also be nice if, since it's all computable information, it could go a step further and allow first responders to, if they chose to, I mean, if they bought into this, to then perhaps purchase an enhanced version of the lost person app, or something that it not only takes this easy to find information, but is able to run it through known decision trees and help them, not only easy to find information, but also easily understood, or good sense making in terms of what's the best way for them to engage in this rescue. So, anyways, that's where I kind of see the. It's basically a free, so I think it would need to be a free solution, and then the business plan, the paid portion of it, would come with enhancements to make it easier for contacts or Good Samaritans to monitor someone, similar to a really sophisticated medical ID badge, but it could be a PanSurvival ID badge that checks in to the network and alerts the network. I don't have any other details on that, but those are my thoughts on a business plan. And how long do you have until, like, once this next one, ideally your business plan, that's something that you would have available 10 days from now?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I just want to get one more piece of data on this one. I was just going to check in the App Store, see how many times that Lost Person app's been downloaded.
Okay.
Because I would think if we were giving, it would seem to me, I'm going to type Lost Person behavior. So on the App Store, I am not able to see how many downloads it had. My thought is that the amount of downloads that, everyone that was willing to pay for the app would be willing to take, at the very least, a free version of the app.
Right.
So, but I guess Apple doesn't provide those statistics. I'm not able to see where that is. So, anyways, so figure we could put in some of that. So the next part is I could just kind of step through the enhancements that I've been making. So a lot of the things we've been kind of going through the simulation and then saying, oh, well, I'll go ahead and fix that later. So that's what I did a lot of, namely on the progress. So if you click reusable and just kind of start the simulation and go to create trip, you just go ahead and pick either one of these, through hike or out and back hike. And you can kind of begin this one. I'm not even sure if you notice it, but it's you hit proceed. All I did is I made that progress bar so it's just one progress bar. I might need to adjust the spacing there, but now that's one thing, whereas before I had many of those. So you can just go ahead and choose locations. So now it's still on, yes, I'll leave today.
Gotcha.
And I think this last one right here is a little bit sharper now, so if you can put in the number of days that you're going. And right now we have the thought that a one-way hike you measured in days, and a two-way hike. And so now, slight change, you'll see that it shows the start and end date before you hit done. Small distinction. So the big difference, the big improvements really are on the next slide, when you start to put in the individual rescue information.
Gotcha.
And so you go to the person data, and this feedback on the right will start to be, oh, and you had mentioned here I changed the icon. You had used the reference a driver's license or information on a driver's license, so I changed the icon for describe appearance. Because you'll see as we go through it, I kind of like that analogy. So if you go through, just begin to fill out that information. You'll start to see the differences here. And this next part, you can start to see this is describing the appearance is pretty sophisticated. So what I've done is I've got a progress bar within a progress bar.
Oh, nice.
So describing the appearance is ethnicity and coloring, and then I was taking stabs at these categories, so they seem to make sense to me. But if you it's organized enough that we can just, it's one progress bar, so you change it once and it fixes everywhere. And as you notice, there's still some minor UI tweaks that I need to fix on it, but functionally it's coming together better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
So then you proceed. So it gives you a better sense of where you are in it.
Awesome. That's great.
And you can see it recalled that you had said you had brown hair, so it specially, it said describe the brown hair on your head.
Okay. That's cool. Nice.
I mean, at this point, we're getting into real minor things, but this is the part that's useful later on. This is the sentence you're going to be explaining to the first responders.
Right.
And it's possible you can make the screen simpler, where it could take an educated guess that your facial hair texture is the same as your hair in your head texture, so you don't have to put that in there.
Gotcha.
And then you have your final few steps just to describe what clothing you have. I plan at some point to come back here, and I think adding glasses is also a clue that we'll want to add.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
And that text in the bottom, that was really for me for the debugging. So what you can see here, this is the verbal description, and small stuff, but it's now grammatically correct. So if you had said, if you were a female, it would have said she has medium length wavy brown hair.
That's great.
So we'd want to just have you confirm that this is your, this is correct. But this is the last step. You can see that you've done everything that you've needed to do. If you want to, you can add some additional description. The value add, which you may have noticed here, is that you've composed, a fairly decent sentence just by tapping, and you've not really had to type really much at all.
For sure.
And then you got this last part, add photos from the device, still kind of fixing, the functionality works, but that's the idea there. So confirm that, you go forward, and I guess we could take a look at that later with the text. This is just trying to move you through it.
Right.
So still smartening it up right now. Is assuming, I didn't make it intelligent enough. It was assuming that you're going to put in everything in there. So it shows your region is the United States. If you were to go back and if you were to pick a different region, it would have said something else. And right now I just have it saying the United States, but I could make it like United States and tell you what the country prefix would be.
Okay.
That might be better.
Gotcha.
But for this part, this is just giving you the feedback.
Right.
So, and then I kind of stopped right around here. So you say like, I will send them the link. If you hit that refresh button up in the top right side, yeah, that's right around when right around the time when the call started. But I'm finishing off this where emergency contact. It's going to indicate that you sent them the information. So we can just kind of proceed through this. The progress is still I'm still looking to complete that.
Okay.
So you just hit complete here, and obviously this is the old. That's the old progress bar. So I could put that in there. In fact, let me go ahead and put that in there.
Yeah.
Hold on one moment. I'm going to put you on speaker.
Okay.
Emergency contacts, and then the next one is put that in the assessment. All right, so if you go back, you'll see that that's, go back one, you'll see, we'll update that one just to have the status in there, but that's that status bar there. It'll say that you're on the self-assessment portion of it, and I need to do some reworking with that one. Yeah, I can get that. I'll take care of that this weekend, so when we circle back perhaps on Monday, that will, that'll all be concluded.
Yeah.
These are those, this will be the self-assessments, so it'll say that, the self-assessment's in progress.
Right.
You'll get all these things done, and then you'll move to this last screen. And this is kind of that final part, and then, where we're saying, hey, your trip's done, here's the link, you can access this information anytime, yada, 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 and you click done, and then we're end scene.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah, so that's, and then after that, you're like, well, what happens when I click that link? There's two ways to access that, but the way that we've been demonstrating it, we'll just go through that. So if you click interested parties, I believe that's that one. Add emergency contact information. Oops, not that one. Go back. Maybe it's under, go back to expedition team. Share with first responder and or emergency contact. Try that bottom one. So this is, we can kind of step through that. So they would send this information, that link, that's how we're demonstrating seeing it.
Right.
You got to get into that phone, open up your email. And then if you click that trip identifier, that'll take you right into that one. And so you have, until you are logged in and authenticated, you always have to do some sort of a challenge to do it correctly. So there's always going to be 3 people. Obviously, if you had filled it out, you'd recognize your name. You'd be that known person. You'd proceed. And it's, you need to sign in because you don't have an account. So you click sign in with Google, and then after you sign in, you just have these 3 options right here.
Right.
So so as we, as I tighten up that person rescue information, then the next part will just be really that final part with reporting the distress. That's going to contain all that information, a summary of that information that we had before, as well as what you're saying the distress is. And, what I'm planning on doing is there'll be a narrative, and then there will also be a form that looks like that Alaska form.
Nice.
So you could send the Alaska Pacific person a form that looks like theirs, but I'm thinking what what we'd end up finding is, and we could tailor it to everyone, so
Right.
whatever form they have, we could send them that form. But I think what will be more valuable is the PanSurvival cover sheet that goes on top of it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so that's all I have here. I mean, if you proceed, do that whole thing, break the glass,
Right.
and that's all I have at this point.
Nice.
So
Well, pretty awesome. It's coming together.
yeah, it's seeming like it's more complete.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, everything looks really good. You're doing a good job. You're doing a great job.
Cool. Well, so I think that's I wish I had more to show for it, but a lot of the things I did were really small. So it just allows the demo to go through quicker when you're showing the rescue information going in.
Right. Right. Yeah. Sure.
So there'll probably be a bunch of smaller things that are done just to finish off that rescue information, those last few steps,
Okay.
and then where I think we'll resume on Monday is when you report the distress, you'll see the PanSurvival cover sheet, which is the native
Awesome.
of what we have, and then that I'm just going to make a database. I'm going to make that Alaska Pacific that rescue sheet pop out.
Right. Right.
And I'm guessing that's what you would just, so when you send the link to them, they get the cover sheet plus that. Later on, maybe that could be a downloadable PDF or what have you, but I'm just going to make it a web page that shows, that looks just like the PDF, because that loads up quicker if you don't have to have a PDF reader.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
cool. Well, trying to think. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, trying to think if we could, go back to I guess we'd want to just make sure that if we could make sure that the description, and in fact, I'm interrupting myself. I think we could say this for next week. We can take a look at the rescue information that's created and compare that to the personas, and see if it's phrased right. We may have had things capitalized a certain way and not so, and might want them different. And then visually, there were a couple small things I was thinking of changing. Like, I think that message in a bottle, while it's neat for us, I don't think it's necessarily the most useful. We might be able to do something better with that icon.
Okay.
Maybe that space would be better used to indicate what type of trip it is. Maybe it'd be more useful if that was a forward and backward arrow showing that it was an out and back hike, or a forward showing that. And then I was thinking about moving that icon to the right, so the text doesn't, so you don't have as much of an issue with the text. It'll give more room for the text. So
okay. Yeah, that sounds good. That all looks good. I'll try to think of some cool icons. I'll brainstorm.
yeah, if you could, that'd be great. And then I have them right now. There's a subtle distinction between some of the icons that are in there. But if you find any cool ones, that'd be great. And then I can convert them into what's called a scalable vector graphic. That makes it show up a little bit sharper.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Cool. So and then in the meantime, I've heard, I've engaged a couple people, but I've not gotten a development company to bite on being able to allow us being able to present. I'm wondering, it's solid enough that maybe could engage Greg too to see if someone in his network knows how we could do this.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I guess that's all I have. We could, perhaps we could just plan to circle back. We don't need to go any longer, but want to schedule this for Monday.
Yeah,
and
that'd
then
be great.
And then also, if your teacher, it'd be neat to kind of talk to this Robert Costner person.
Yeah, it would.
And so I just kind of threw it over the wall, but you said your teacher might have a warmer relationship with him?
Yeah, I honestly forgot to engage her, but I can send her an email today.
Okay, cool. And at least I put together the text as kind of at least what we're trying to do. I mean, I saw that he was on LinkedIn, but I'm not connected to him. Do you have a connection with him?
No, I don't. I don't. I didn't know if it was appropriate for me to like add him. You know what I mean? I'm not sure with LinkedIn protocols. It's kind of a new thing for me.
Well, it's some of like they allow you to add people if you know their password. You know, if you know their email address.
Oh, okay. So then no.
And then
Be able to add
usually
him.
they're like if you know who they are, and then otherwise you can access someone if you pay LinkedIn money to connect to them using an in-mail thing. But ultimately, I mean, I checked his profile. He's got like 500 connections.
Right.
In fact, let me pull it up because you can see who you're connected through, just in case maybe you have a better, maybe your network. If you're one person, I'm 3 people removed from him.
Okay.
But if you're one person removed from him, you could access him through LinkedIn. You could ask that person to pass on your message.
Okay. How do you find? Yeah, is that little number to the top right of his name? Is that how far? Yeah, I'm a 3rd degree connection too.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I am.
Sorry.
Yeah, 3rd degree. But he's got 500 plus, so it would seem like one of somehow that we would have known there. So.
Right.
All right. Well, anyways, that's thought if maybe if you or anyone you know is well, I guess no one you know. If 3rd degree means someone you know is 2 degrees away from him.
Okay. Okay. I wonder who that. Is there an easy way to find out? Is there like a tree that you can go to see that?
If you go to the right of your thing, scroll down, go down a little bit more, keep going. Okay, so right there. It says how you're connected. Scroll up a little bit more on the right-hand side.
Oh, on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Oh, in common with Robert. I got it. Oh, it's
So
okay.
you guys have a group in common. So you're in a common group. So
Gotcha.
you could post a message through your group.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. Or if you scroll up a little bit higher, this Kapana can introduce.
I don't even know who that is, to be honest.
Okay. Well, then what I do, I mean, if you're fine, if you don't mind, do you mind just throwing out a post, just seeing, saying like, hey, I'm going to get in touch with Robert? Yeah. So if you click the group, yeah, and then since you're a member of that group, you can post to that group and possibly like tag him.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I can do that for sure.
Awesome.
Let me write
So
that
yeah,
down.
I mean, try whatever, and because I think it's interesting enough. If we could get a little bit of his time in there, just because I think what we're doing is complementary to what he's doing, and his stuff is he's got some excellent logic. The problem is it's just not connected with the observations or the trip that's in jeopardy or what have you, and that's where somehow PanSurvival could integrate with with his decision-making logic or vice versa. But ultimately, and that's why I wrote down like our possible way that we could partner with him was if we could have a way of capturing his logic and running our data through it, that would be useful.
Right.
And in addition to it, that data that we're capturing could be used by him to continue to improve his decision trees. Because ideally, it'd be nice if he could continue to own the expertise of logic, and then could continue to own the expertise of making it easy to get computable data that can be run through his logic, as well as ours too. Because he's got logic in terms of how rescuers might plan a rescue. But we also have logic of what might be the best way to phrase the information you received. And right now we're just doing English. Our rules could be run for different regions and different languages. So I would imagine that if we wanted this in Spanish or something like that, all of our business rules to generate sentences, the computer does not care, and we could generate sentences in different languages and yada yada yada. So there's many types of logic that we could have.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Awesome. Well,
for sure.
Cool. Well, then that's it on my end. I will. So I guess unless you have anything else, we could call it a day. I'm going, and then I'll send out a meeting invite for Monday.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
So,
Monday at the same time.
Excellent. Sounds good. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. I hope you feel better, Tony.
Thanks a lot. I'm sure I will. I feel like I'm on the mend. So talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.